So I promised that I would be back to do the second part of the answer video in the morning, and here I am. I forgot to mention, of course, that my morning is everyone else's afternoon, but who can blame me? Who can blame me? No one! Not you, motherfucker, that's for sure. Alcohol has been replaced by Gatorade, so whether that improves my performance or not, we'll find out. Let's start answering questions. Let's get into this shit. You will probably not even read this question, but I will ask anyway. Do you believe that homosexuality is a choice? Just like God, there is no conclusive evidence to prove that there is a greater force overriding human will that forces people to practice homosexuality. I am an atheist, and I do not believe in the magical homo fairy tale or the mythical God figure. So not a very promising start to our answer video, unfortunately. What do you mean exactly by overriding human will that forces people to practice homosexuality? If you're gay, having sex with people of the same gender is your will, you fucking moron. Let me ask you this. When did you choose to be heterosexual? I mean, if you believe heterosexuality is a choice, then surely it's a choice everyone makes. You know, and if you can just choose what to be sexually attracted to, I challenge you to go in your kitchen and become sexually attracted to your toaster. Just look at it and think sexy thoughts until that toaster is the object of your unbridled lust and desire, and you just can't wait to stick your fucking cock in that toaster like, yeah, fucking take it, toaster. Be sure to unplug it first, though, you know, unless that's part of the fetish, is having it plugged in. Put your dick in a little slit on the top, push the button down, get those nice burn marks alongside your man meat. You can do it. You can do it, buddy. Just choose to be attracted to toasters. And as for there being no evidence of homosexuality, scientifically, that's just false. They've found several genetic factors that make someone predisposed. So, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I recently have become interested in the Shroud of Turin. Have you heard of it? Yes, I've heard of it. If so, what do you think is the next step in determining its authenticity? And hey, Scotty, Jesus, man, Scotty ain't fucking here. Scotty's not here. The Shroud of Turin, how do we, determining its authenticity, it's not authentic. It's been thoroughly debunked. It's not real. It was a fucking prop designed to get idiots to pay their money to see the Shroud of Turin. See the shroud that Jesus was wrapped in. There's a problem. I mean, just because you're wrapped in a shroud, your face doesn't become etched in the fucking shroud. I mean, it's just silly. On a scale from 1 to 10, what is your favorite color of the alphabet? That would have to be Zimbabwe. My 2 pig cousins have been harassing me on Facebook because they think I'm a coward for saying the cop who shot the guy in Walmart was wrong. They also called me an uneducated brat for supporting the protests and say it's our fault those cops in Brooklyn died. What would you say to my cousins? I would say to your cousins that the real cowards are the cops who feel so threatened by toy rifles and feel so threatened by BB guns and feel so threatened by black men just standing on the fucking street corner minding their own goddamn business or walking down the street. They're so fucking cowardly and afraid that the only response in their minds to a situation like that is lethal force! Lethal force! Gotta stop these fucking niggers! You know, that's their mentality. Don't fucking tell me otherwise. You know, you act like I've never met a cop. You act like I've never seen a cop. You know, I remember one time my brother and his friend went off to a strip club in New Orleans, and they hung out with this one cop while he was off duty, and they said the whole time all he was talking about is like, yeah, man, fucking niggers this, niggers that, you fucking, and you think that cop doesn't go out on his beat and abuse his power and use his racism as an excuse to prosecute and persecute people? Bullshit. Cops are the real cowards, my friend. And don't let them turn it around and say you're the coward because you support fucking fair and equal due process under the law for everybody. Because that's what this country was supposed to be founded on. You ever notice that the Constitution protects people from the government? The Bill of Rights. It's all of the rights that the citizens have. It's not the rights that government officials have over you. It's the rights that you have against them. And they've been chipping away at it, just chipping away. At this point, it's basically meaningless. You could probably just, you could use the Bill of Rights as fucking toilet paper for all the good it's going to do you. I have another question as well. I've never answered this person's former question, so. What is your stance on bestiality and necrophilia? Well, necrophilia, like, they're dead. What are you going to do to them? Dead people, they're not people. They're just dead. They're fucking, it's not even a person anymore. If you want to fuck it, I don't care. It's not hurting them. They're dead. They're gone. You just want to use what's left of their body to get off on. Bestiality, those are living animals, but I really don't see how I can object to that if I'm going to continue eating meat. Like, I'm going to say that I can fucking have a cow slaughtered on my behalf, ground into fucking cheeseburger, and I can sit there and eat it, but you can't fuck that same cow? Seems hypocritical to me. Why do you deny the inherent inequality of human races acquired via evolution and proven scientifically beyond any shadow of a doubt? If it was proven scientifically beyond any of a shadow of a doubt, then why does the scientific community not embrace those racist views? That would be my first question. Do you believe that scientists are just so constrained by political correctness that they refuse to speak this truth that races have this inherent qualitative difference, and of course people always put their own race on the top. Anyone who has these convictions, if they're black, the black race is superior. If they're white, the white race is superior. If they're Asian, the Asian race is superior. That's always interesting to me. What a fucking coincidence. It'd be more interesting to me if there was some white guy, a white scientist, who crunched the numbers and did the research and came to the conclusion that the black race was superior. But really, at the end of the day, we're all just the human race. We're not the white, black, blah, blah, blah. Those differences are superficial. They're not. There's not enough difference between us to really amount to much of anything. That's not to say there aren't differences between races, but the differences are infinitesimal. Do you sleep on your back, stomach, or side? I don't see how that's interesting to anybody to know, but I tend to sleep either on my side or on my belly. Sleeping on my back disturbs me. I find that when I'm sleeping on my back, the nightmares, they're more likely to rear their ugly heads. You know what I'm saying? I find that if I'm sleeping in that position, the room fills up with monsters very quickly. So you got to sleep on your side, because otherwise the monsters will get you. Why are you such a sexy motherfucker? It's a blessing and it's a curse. Just these luscious, fat, juicy man tits, this big cellulite ass, this hair that covers nearly every inch of my body, but is strangely absent from my ass, though. Not completely, but just not as much there as you would think. Even on my back, just the hair. The fucking hair. I'm just a hairy son of a bitch. If I went to a furry convention, I wouldn't even need a fucking fursuit. I'm just like, I'm here, guys. What are you? I'm just fucking TJ. Isn't that furry enough for you, you fucking weirdos? I like furries. The weirdo thing was for flourish. I don't discriminate. You want to do some weird shit, it's all good. We all got our weird shit. How do you feel about some atheists seem to worship you like some kind of prophet? I wish that more atheists were like that, honestly. You're never going to hear me come out and say something humble. I'm never going to be like, oh, I wish they wouldn't do that. No. Listen to every word I say, drink it in, and view it as the gospel truth. But you should always have doubts, obviously. Sometimes people send me stuff like, I agree with you 100% of the time. It's like, well, then you must not really be listening to me, because I advocate skepticism. I advocate thinking for yourself. If you just nod your head with everything I say, then obviously you're not doing that. I mean, even I've made the joke before that I only agree with 80% of what I say. But that's kind of true in a way. Because there are times when, I might not say exactly what I mean because of constraints levied against me by YouTube. Or I might not say things with the level of nuance that I actually feel because it would take too long or it wouldn't be entertaining. Or it's like I get in that us versus them mentality, like I become so blinded with hatred for something that I take all of the nuance and the subtleties of the issue and just say, fuck that, get that out of here. We're just lightning razor focused on this person or this group and why they piss me the fuck off. And we're just going to rip everything they say to shreds. And that's not always completely honest as an approach. And then there's just the fact that I'm filled with doubt. If anything I say, there's always at least part of me that's saying, you could be wrong, you could be wrong, you could be wrong. Everyone should have that. Because if you don't have doubt, then that means you've lost the ability to change your mind. You've lost the ability to entertain new points of view, and you've ceased to evolve as a human being. I'm not talking about biological evolution here. I'm talking about the evolution of your mind, the evolution of your thought process. If you don't have doubt, then you're wearing blinders. You're just staring forward, and it's like the conservative Christians. So many of them wearing the blinders. What about these facts that contradict what you say? Can't see those, got my blinders on, can only see straight forward to God and Jesus. Silly fuck. Silly fuck. Don't be like them. What is your least favorite song ever? That's a very difficult question because there's so many annoying, horrible songs out there. I can't really think of one that stands out as like, that's the worst. I never want to hear that. There's so many that are so bad. But I can't think of a worst. When did you realize that God was a fucking fairy tale? Probably when I was around 11, 12 years old. I'd always been skeptical about things like Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny and the Tooth Fairy. Like, I even remember when I was like 6 or 7, setting up traps for my parents to prove that the Tooth Fairy doesn't exist. I piled a bunch of shit against my door so they would have no choice but when they opened it for it all to fall. And I was hoping that it would wake me up and I'd catch them and be like, aha, I knew it. But no. I didn't end up waking up. I didn't catch them. So I've always had a skeptical mindset about this, like, fantastical fairy tale bullshit. And I kind of had my doubts about God even as a young kid, but it wasn't until I think I was like 11 or 12 that it started to cohere in my mind, and there was that natural skepticism. I don't know how much longer it was after that I actually started reading into like theological debates and seeing atheist lines of reasoning. Prior to that, it was basically just me thinking to myself that, you know, how implausible is this story? Why can't we see this God? How do we know this God exists? If he does exist, then why does everyone seem to have their own separate and unique ideas about what he is and what he does and what he wants? How does one accumulate an anal orgasm? I've heard about it in the comments section below and never heard of it prior. You know, I'm not Google, but, you know, it's, you can do that. I mean, like, just stimulate the prostate is all you have to do. Just stimulate your prostate through your ass, and you can achieve orgasm that way. But if you want to just take a shortcut, just stick something in your ass that stimulates your prostate and masturbate normally, and the orgasm you have will be something like 10 times more powerful than one you would be able to get without sticking something in your butt. So, useful information for all you lonely masturbators out there in the world. Why is my penis so massively large? It's probably infected with some kind of disease, you know. There's like bacteria in there making it look bloated as they eat your insides away. You're probably not long for this world. I'm sorry to be the one to tell you. Why does Coughlin, Federalist Films, and company hate you and obsessively make videos about you? Weren't you guys friends at one time? I was friends with Federalist Films. I was never friends with Coughlin. I did respect Coughlin. I supported his videos a couple times when he got his channel taken down. I helped him to reacquire the audience that he'd lost. I don't know why they so viciously turned on me. I think it just has to do with feminism. They went the feminist route. I went the anti-feminist route. So now it's like we're contractually obligated to take issue with one another. What is the meaning of life? The meaning of life is giant asses just pressed against your face while you go. Or you could find your own meaning if you don't like that one. You know, there's no objective meaning of life, so it's kind of like multiple choice. You can have your own meaning, or you can just say, there's no meaning! Whatever you want to do. Totally up to you. To what extent do you think feminists will be successful in their quest for a far-left authoritative state? You know, feminists, these feminists that are trying to censor video games and movies and all this stuff, this is nothing new. This is just the latest incarnation of the censor. You know, in the 80s, it was Republicans trying to put a stop to dirty lyrics and music. And, you know, at the end of the day, all the music industry did was say, okay, well, we'll put these parental advisory labels on the stuff that you don't like. And then we'll consider that case closed. They did it to the comic books industry in the 30s. They also did it to the movie industry, I think, in the 30s or 40s. You know, just these censors, they fucking show up with a swagger in their step like, this is all bullshit. This is corrupting the youth, and this is making people think this and think that, and we're here to fix this evil problem. And, you know, the feminists of today are just the most recent incarnation of that phenomenon, and those people never fucking win. They do a lot of saber rattling for, maybe a month or two. Not a month or two, for a few years. And we'll deal with it. And maybe the industry will put out some ridiculous new standards, like video games. Like, they'll have, like, this game contains images that may be deemed sexist by some players. And then it's like, oh. They just... The back of video games, it'll just say trigger warnings, and then there'll be this giant list of things that might upset people that this game contains. But ultimately, even if something like that happens, people are just going to look at the back and use that as like a guide. Just like when I was a kid, you wanted to buy the album that said parental advisory, explicit lyrics. Like, fuck yeah, give me that one. It'd be the same thing with the video game industry. Look, turn it over, trigger warnings, contains sexism, women with big boobs. It's like, all right, fucking bring that home. Put that in the fucking Xbox or PS fucking 4 or PC or whatever the fuck. Not a lot of physical boxes for games, though, anymore. But, you get what I'm saying. If you were a small child, would you rather be in a dark room with Michael Jackson, Carrot Top, or Catholic priest? Why is Carrot Top in that list? I know Michael Jackson, he liked to fuck boys. Catholic priest, they like to fuck boys. I've never heard anything about Carrot Top liking to fuck boys. Did I miss some giant Carrot Top scandal where Carrot Top was fucking little boys? Seems like the kind of thing I'd remember. I don't know. I guess I go with Michael Jackson because it seems like he treats his boys better than the Catholic priests do, Catholic priests, they're in a hurry, they got stuff to do, places to go. They think God is watching them and might be pissed off at what they're doing. So it's just like, they just want a quickie. They just bend you over in the confessional. Yeah, take it, you little fucking brat. Yeah. And then afterwards they're like, oh, don't tell anybody. God, this is between you and God and me. And you just don't need to tell your mom. You don't need to tell your dad. You don't need to tell anybody. Michael Jackson's a little nicer. Like, he's like, hey, want a sip of the Jesus juice? And you're like, okay. And he sits there and he pets on you for a while. And, there's more foreplay with Michael, There's more foreplay, and he's just nicer. He knew the art of seducing little boys. So I'd definitely rather be with Michael. When can we expect a TJ and Scotty porn? I don't know, probably Thursday or something. Hi, it's Levin Tibax. Again, the Belgian beer guy. I don't care. Could you maybe in the future organize a game jam where you dedicate a DP episode to playing the fan-made games of your podcast? I wasn't even aware there were multiple games of our podcast. I knew there was at least one that existed, but I didn't know there was multiples. Whatever. What is the worst piece of non-personal news you have ever heard? This isn't really a piece of news, but probably the worst thing I ever heard was back when the Backstreet Boys were popular. Backstreet's back, all right! Ugh. I remember that there was a lot of people that were comparing them to the Beatles. Like, they're just like the Beatles. It's like... No, they're not just like the Beatles. If you could be in an epic rap battle of history, who would you go against and why? Would I just be in it as myself? I'm not really a famous enough figure to be featured in epic rap battles of history, but assuming one day I was, it should be, I don't know, it should be me versus, like, the Pope or something. The amazing atheist versus the Pope! That'd be cool. I'd win, for sure. If God created the universe, then who created him? It was the great Spatulon, God of the spatula. He flipped God forth from the nothingness like a great pancake. Can you please take the piss out of more religions than just Christianity? Well, I take the piss out of a lot of religions here in America. Christianity, republicanism. Don't tell me it's not a religion. Feminism, definitely a religion. Anything that requires articles of faith and ignores all evidence, I consider all those religions. I've taken on Islam before. I've taken on Buddhism before. I don't really think I've ever taken on Judaism, but what's the point? Every time I criticize the Old Testament, it's kind of a double whammy. I'm hitting the Christians and the Jews all at once. And by the way, there's only like 6 million Jews on the whole fucking planet, so hardly even worth raising a fuss about. What are your thoughts about Australia at the moment with Tony Abbott as Prime Minister? I don't fucking know or care. You see, this person under them said, I think you overestimate TJ's desire to learn anything about international politics. And that person is right. That person is right. I don't know anything about Australia. There's too much. If you're an American, you have to understand that America is a country of 300 million fucking people, and there's all kinds of crazy shit going on in this country every single fucking day. If you want to keep up with the news in America, you almost can't pay attention to the international news. Because the international, there's more shit outside of this horrible fucked up country that's going on. I can't even deal with that. That's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. TJ, I'm a sophomore in high school. I feel depressed here because I'm surrounded by fucking selfish parasites who lack any amount of empathy whatsoever. I want to drop out so I can get out of this, but I actually like the education. I go to a private school. Should I drop out at the end of the year, and how do I cope with all these fucking cunts I'm forced to associate with? Well, as I said in the last video, I just try to avoid them. You just escape into your own mind. That's pretty much all you can do, really. Out of every person you've had on the Drunken Peasants podcast, which would you pick to screw, marry, and kill? Thanks. Well, I'd definitely kill G-Man. Who would I marry? I'd marry the Bible Reloaded guys, because they could be my tubby bitch slaves. And I would screw, well, I was already planning on screwing the Bible Reloaded guys. I guess I could just screw one of the Bible Reloaded guys and marry the other one, but they can both be my official tubby sex slaves, and I can, smack on their bellies and stuff. Seems fun. Are you gay, straight, or bi? I'm bi, as I've said numerous times. Although some people go behind, sometimes I'll say, I'm bi, and then people be like, no, you're pansexual. It's like, okay, I'm pansexual. What the fuck ever? I don't care. The only reason I even started using these stupid terms is because I got tired of just explaining to people that it's not so simple that it just fits into these preconceived notions, but trying to get people to stop using their silly little labels for things is impossible. And it makes communication difficult. That's the whole reason we have labels in the first place, just to make communication easier. But these words really don't encapsulate anything real. They're just a vague representation of something that's way too complex to be represented so simply. But what other choice do we have? It's the founder of the Church of Satan, Anton. If it's like the founder, no, it's like the founder of the Church of Satan, Anton LaVey, lived in an ego-centered, full of pride and blasphemous life. Then, only because he was about to die, he became to realize. I'm sorry, this question is written like shit. I can't even do it. The other day, I saw a group of Christians presenting a church give out free food to the homeless people. It got me thinking. Would a group of atheists get together and give out food to the homeless? Yes, that actually happens. Why don't you pay attention? I mean, a simple Google search, atheist charities. It's all you had to do to fucking have your question sated. But I guess it's easier to just type it to me. So, yeah, what I say to you is atheist charities on Google. Check it out. Out of all the gods that are out there, which one do you get the most annoyed with? My answer is God. That's what I think too, the Abrahamic God, because that's the one that everyone's obsessed with, including the Muslims, even though they call him a different name. It's God, it's Allah, it's Yahweh, it's bullshit. If you had the chance to drop kick someone in the throat, who would it be and why? I don't know, probably Ann Coulter. Just because I want to see her massive Adam's apple crushed in by my fucking size 15 boots. What does TJ stand for? The Joker? No, it stands for Thomas James, which is my first and middle name. Where's the last Drunken Peasants podcast at? I fucking announced on my social media that we had too many technical difficulties and we canceled Friday's show. How many hours each day do you spend on work? It's kind of a difficult thing because it varies, but like yesterday, I spent a lot of my time signing copies of the Douchebag Bible. I spent a lot of my time dealing with Drunken Peasants bullshit. I spent a lot of my time doing yesterday's answer video. I would say it ranges from 4 to 10 hours a day I'll work, and then usually there'll be at least one day a week where I do nothing whatsoever. But 4 to 10 hours a day. Usually somewhere in the vicinity of 6, though. Why does my girlfriend's pussy taste like peanut butter? I don't know. AA is becoming more hair than man. I only say this because I'm slightly jealous of your luxurious beard. I already mentioned that. I'm an unofficial furry just by my very nature. TJ, my girlfriend's mom is super Christian and she does not like me because I do not feel the same way and I do not go to church. Is there anything I can do to possibly get her off my case? I am surprised she hasn't crucified me yet. You know, if she has that much of an objection to you simply not believing in God, I don't see what you could possibly do other than just pretend to believe in God to placate her. But obviously that's not something you want to do. So I would just say accept the fact that there's going to be antagonism and just be a fucking dickhole to her if she's going to be a dickhole to you. And if your girlfriend has a problem with it, be like, look, your mom was a bitch to me first. She starts being nice to me, I'll start being nice to her. But if she's going to be a cunt, I'm going to be a cunt right back. And I guess that concludes part 2. Part 2 of our illustrious question series, and that's actually the conclusion. So, hope you guys enjoyed it. Subscribe to my channel if you're not already. I don't know who but a subscriber would watch 33 minutes of this shit, but whatever. See you guys later. I think I'm doing a Drunken Peasants tonight, so hopefully that will not be a disaster like the last one.